Three stories from a small planet. In Zimbabwe, President Mugabe was once a national hero, but now his country is falling apart. Reporting undercover, Alexis Bloom tells the story that this brutal dictator doesn't want the world to know. Of a country where people risk their lives to escape, only to be rounded up and herded back.
Anger, despair, some people have just given up.
Next, in Mexico, a village mourns the death of a son. Reporter Claudine Lamonaco tells the harrowing story of a migrant worker's tragic journey across the border.
Matias' body was sent home, but his family believes that his spirit is still in the desert.
Finally, in China, welcome to the women's kingdom, a place where women don't believe in traditional marriage.
Frontline World is made possible by We're riding a night train to the end of the line, the Zimbabwean border.
Sorry.
These men fled the regime in Zimbabwe. Up until a few days ago, they were living illegally in neighboring South Africa. But the South Africans don't want them. They're shipping them straight back.
Only the situation in Zimbabwe is forcing us to believe. People are starving and people are suffering down the side. See? They are starving. It's painful. Just look at down.
Hands. The guards yell for heads down. Hunched up like this, the guards told us, the men are less likely to jump. But that didn't stop over a dozen Zimbabweans from leaping off the train we were riding. They risked death rather than face the regime back home. Morning, and the border draws closer. People told us these were their last hours to speak freely.
You can't get the truth in Zimbabwe, no? No. Even if you get me in Zimbabwe, I can't tell you the truth. Because the time I tell you, there's some people of ZANU-PF watching me. When you go, they kill me.
By nightfall, these men will have been marched back into Zimbabwe. But we're not allowed to go with them. The Zimbabwean government has banned all foreign journalists. This great natural beauty is what Zimbabwe was once famous for. It's home to the Victoria Falls, one of the 7 wonders of the world. For us, the falls were our way in. We've come to Zimbabwe pretending to be tourists, to see for ourselves an increasingly repressive and secret state. This was once one of the most popular vacation spots in Africa. But we find our hotel eerily empty. Ten years ago, Zimbabwe was one of the richest countries in Africa. But now, runaway inflation tops 1,000%, and this money isn't worth the ink on the bills. We just changed our money, and thankfully they've issued a new note today. the $50,000 bill. When I said to the lady in the bank, this is rather a lot of money to be carrying around, she laughed and said it was nothing. It takes stacks of money, just for the basic necessities here. Once called Rhodesia, Zimbabwe was ruled by a white minority until 1980. But after a fierce war of independence, Robert Mugabe rose to power. A freedom fighter turned dictator, Mugabe has transformed Zimbabwe from the prize of Africa into a state of fear. We set off for Mugabe's seat of power, Harare. If we were caught reporting, we'd be arrested. We see a long line of cars at an empty gas station. People can wait here for weeks, we're told, for fuel that may never arrive. Down the road, we find another sign of the hardships we'd heard about. A garbage dump where people scavenge for food alongside baboons. These men told us they were surviving through luck alone. I asked who was to blame.
You know, everybody knows. We can shut our mouth, we can say anything, you know, but we know who is responsible. You even know who is responsible.
He was too scared to mention the name of President Mugabe. So you would say that it's not easy to talk about these things in Zimbabwe?
It's not easy. It's not easy because there are a handful of people who are enjoying the life, but the rest are not enjoying anything. So it's very hard.
Harare, the capital. We were advised to film only through our car's tinted windows. We immediately spotted more of what President Mugabe doesn't want the world to see. Long lines outside of a bank. Shortages of everything. This man was desperate to unload his Zimbabwean dollars. How much have you got?
20 million.
More and more, survival depends on a growing underground economy. But you won't find any of this in the daily newspapers. They've now been taken over by the ruling party. This is journalist Dumisani Malaya. He shows us the site of Zimbabwe's last independent daily paper. Its clashes with the government made it vulnerable to attack.
So the Daily News was within this building.
Can we stop here?
A bomb was dropped in this gallery there.
A bomb?
Yeah, a bomb was dropped. Apparently it was dropped by a car drove past this place at some breakneck speed. It dropped a bomb there. It hit the gallery.
Dumisani would only speak to us in the back seat of our car. He told me he'd been imprisoned twice for his reporting.
You know, the cells were packed. A cell designed for six people, you'll be pegged like sardines. In there, you'll be